Yeah. Oh, that's right. I have to do a video. Okay. Whoops. My bad. Welcome back. I'm Wizard in a t-shirt. And today, I thought we would revisit a couple of stories that I think a lot of people enjoyed, especially myself, since these type of stories are always the ones that are always just so chaotic, man. I don't know. They get so crazy, and I think you know what we're talking about. We're talking about GameStop. If you didn't know from the goddamn thumbnail, we're talking about GameStop. You know, I noticed on my page recently that I've made a lot of skits about GameStop. And to be honest, it's just because there's a lot of intriguing stories that come from it. You know, they're like delicacies to the ear. You love hearing them because they're just so raw and horrible. And it just gives you a great excuse of why you would never want to work at a GameStop. But today, we've come across some stories of people that have unfortunately had to work in the environment of GameStop, that have had to come across the worst of the worst when it comes to the gaming community, when it comes to people that are just trying to buy video games for their kids and just get really mad because they don't know what they're talking about, or even people that are just so goddamn disgusting and kept indoors all times, cave-dwelling Reddit mutants that come out of the darkness and they come for you. They know what you did to them. They know what you want. They want you! And we've got quite some interesting stories for you today. Maybe we should leave that as a surprise. I was thinking about it. I was like, should I tell you? Should I tell you what they are? You know what? You find out. You'll figure it out. But we have a couple of special stories for you today, so I hope you enjoy. So be sure to hit the subscribe and like button, and also be sure to hit the bell, because you will never know I make videos if you don't. But let's go ahead and get into our very first story. Now, before we really jump into this, I want to say that the title of this story was really prevalent all over the GameStop subreddit. Like, this was a very, very popular title. But this was only posted a couple of weeks ago on the GameStop subreddit called Promoted Myself to Customer. So I promoted myself to customer today. I reached my breaking point today as while during a phone trade, as I'm handing the woman her cash card with the agreed upon amount, I get a gun pulled on me and told to give her the phone back. Jesus Christ. You know, it's kind of surprising how often GameStops actually get robbed. I don't know what it is, dude, but people love to hit a GameStop. There's not a lot of money there. It's like I wish people more understood that, like, if you're going to rob a place, you got to understand, it's all digital now. People barely be using cash. But still, you think a GameStop would be a very safe place. And unfortunately, when it comes to the robber's mind, that's the first place they're going. Obviously, I didn't want to get shot, so I complied. Gave it back, and she ran. Then, after I do all the theft like calling 911 and contacting loss prevention, I get a call from our DM screaming and cursing me out about all this, saying I shouldn't have gave it back to her and saying I should be ashamed for costing the store money. She got $100 for a beat up phone. Basically going on and on that I should put my life on the line to prevent $100 loss. Yeah, one thing I will always say, when it comes to your job and robberies, just don't. Like, there's, you know, sometimes, like, in your mind, you're like, this is what I do for Robert. Just no, just don't. It's not worth it. At the end of the day, when it comes to your job and your life, fuck your job. Your life matters. You're not even going to stay at that job that you're at. Like, let's be real. If it's like a fucking pizza parlor or a GameStop, that's like a stay at in the meantime job. That's not a forever job, okay? So you're good. But point being of saying, do not waste your life over trying to make a dollar for a corporate. So after the last month and a half of getting verbally harassed by this DM to getting better numbers and running a store entirely by myself, getting stalked by some homeless crackhead who's been rummaging through our dumpsters and multitudes of other BS I've dealt with since getting hired, I waited for my coworkers to show up, clock out, and called him up and said I quit. F this company, do not work here or give them your money. A bit of a short one, but a good sum up of kind of what working at GameStop is like, you know? It's a bit of a surprise. You don't know what to expect. Rather it be, you know, random robbery, a random homeless guy, a random dude that's going to get mad at you because you didn't know the information on some game back from 1990, whatever the fuck. It's always going to be a kind of a jumble. You know, you think in your mind that GameStop's going to be a really fun time when you're like walk into it, and then you learn the truth. That there's actually a monster under the mask of what GameStop is. But moving on to our next story, this was posted on the GameStop subreddit 3 months ago, titled Today, and I believe this involves a worker explaining one of the worst situations they had at their workday. This legit happened today. I genuinely don't understand grown-ups throwing tantrums. That on its own should just be a fucking self-titled like quote at the beginning of a horror movie that just begins the film. You know what I'm saying? Like where it's just like a black background and then there's that quote. Yeah, fucking that would sell you some money right there. SM here. I was on break during the beginning part of this, but could clearly hear the guy out front. My RK is a little under the weather, but fine. He was selling a customer a digital PS5. The customer was a little touchy from the jump. He complained about the price being raised on the PS5 in general. My RK then, ringing up the sales, accidentally dropped the thumb grip he was selling, and the guy starts accusing him of being on drugs. He escalated that quickly. My RK keeps his cool, finishes ringing him up, and informs him that we are unfortunately out of the console bags, and gave him a few alternate options. We are a state that requires you to bring your own shopping bags. From the beginning, this person is already just upset. Like, walking into this GameStop, they were already upset. Like, they know what they wanted, but they're not going to be nice about it. And that's the one thing I kind of hate when it comes to customer service like this, is I wish people would be a little more humane when it comes to a worker, because you have to understand that they're just trying to help you, and you just being an asshole doesn't really get you anywhere. But then again, you can try to explain that to somebody, and it can just go from one ear right out the other. I'm talking literally screaming at the top of his lungs about us not having a bag. I come out and try to calm the situation. Explain politely that we had run out of console bags earlier in the day, and we only had smaller bags. I'd be happy to give him a trash bag or a plain box to put his item in. The whole time, he continues screaming at me at the top of his lungs about how he can't believe we don't have bags. You know, this kind of situation reminds me of a story I had when I was a kid. A long time ago when I went to GameStop as a kid, I remember me and my dad were just waiting in line to pick up, I can't remember what the fuck, but I remember clearly that this man was getting very upset over an Xbox that he wasn't getting the amount of money for. You ever just see somebody in a GameStop get mad because they're not getting the price they want for something that unfortunately GameStop doesn't have control over? It's more of a corporate system built-in thing than it's more of an employee thing. You ever just see that? Well, let me tell you, it's gross. Listen, I can understand when it comes to money, but having a freak out at a GameStop has got to be one of the most embarrassing / humiliating things you can do, because you're just around a bunch of children and also parents and or other dudes just trying to buy video games, and they're literally watching you, a full-grown man, now lose their over an Xbox. I mean, it's entertaining, don't get me wrong, but like, hey, you gotta live with that. He then comes at me personally saying that I'm getting paid for him to yell at me, and he works harder for his money because it's all commissions, and I should feel disgusted with myself. He then called me a has-been because I'm apparently 50-something. Nope, definitely not there yet, nor close, and I still work in retail and never made anything of myself. He then keeps going in on my RK, who has stepped into the back, and calling him a druggie and that he uses angel dust and that he's a junkie. Mind you, this is all still about a bag. Yeah, this man was mad from the get-go, because like I said, freaking out over a bag just because you're not getting it for your PS5 just shows that no matter what, even if like these people would have been super friendly no matter what, you're still gonna get mad in their face. And it's like one of the worst things that I think like customer service workers can really deal with. And unfortunately, you know, GameStop gives a great example of that. It really does. Because it's video games, you know? And it doesn't surprise me that this person would freak out over a plastic bag, because at that point, they would have found anything or any reason to get mad at the person in front of them, you know? Even if they were buying something really nice for themselves, like a PS5. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm still gonna Bart Simpson strangle you, you know what I'm saying? I stood there and this man screamed at me for 15 minutes trying to get a rise and a reaction out of me, and I gave him nothing but repeatedly explained his bag options and wishing him a good day. At one point, he claimed I was flustered. I almost laughed. I just replied that I'm cool and I'm good. He eventually storms out, console in hand, bag with other items and finally leaves. I make sure everyone in the store is good. They all ask if I'm okay. I laughed it off. I generally was flabbergasted that a grown man would scream and holler and carry on like a 2-year-old who was hungry and didn't get a nap. And it was all for naught. He still left without a console bag. There's at least that one victory. He bitch over a bag, you don't get a bag. You think you're gonna be the victor in the end of the day just because you're screaming in a kid's face, when in truth, yeah, you're getting nothing. Even though I'm pretty certain that the person telling the story is a bit of an older person. Still though, for just yelling at what I would take is probably just a teenager behind the back, you love to see full-grown men that take out their anger on people that are either younger or don't work as hard as them. Either way, you're just gonna see people that are never happy, and it figures for them. Our final story was posted 5 months ago on a thread from the Gamestop subreddit titled Worst Karen You Had the Displeasure of Dealing With. And in this story, it was posted also 5 months ago, with it being a combo of 2 different Karen stories matched into one night. Oh, this is hard, because I've got 2 of them that are tied. This was one of my last days at GameStop. They announced our store was closing, and I was sticking with the sinking ship to get my severance. Guy comes into the store trying to return a game. It's pre-owned and he has the receipt, so I don't think anything of it until I look at the receipt. We had recently had a buy one get one sale, and dude was trying to return the game he had got for free. You know, I can't lie, that is a bit of a genius idea. If you really were to think about it, some people would at least attempt it once in their life where it's like, you know, I did get this game for free. What if I were to try to score a buck off of it? Now, of course, in the logical looking of it, it's not going to work, but can't blame him for trying. I told him that I can take the game back if he wants, but that he won't get any money for it. The exchange went a little like this. Idiot. What do you mean you won't give me anything back? It says right here in the case the game costs $50. Me. Yes, but if you look at the receipt, it says you paid $0, and I can only give you back what you paid. Idiot. I paid for it. You can see the total at the bottom. Me. You paid for the other game. If you want to bring them both back, I can refund you. But you got this game for free. Idiot. I don't want to return the other one. I want to return this one, and the sticker says $50. Okay, so you can't do that. See, when you were trying to return a free game to try to see if you can get some money back for it, it's at least worth a try, but you can't be getting mad when they say, hey, you're not getting anything back for it. Because it's like, hey, it was a good trick. But to get mad about it is quite an interesting thing, especially when you're getting something that was for free. This went back and forth with me trying to explain as simply as possible that he got the game for free, and I can only refund him what he paid, which is nothing, not what the game is worth. Dude kept getting madder and madder while I got more and more annoyed. Eventually, I say, listen man, when you return a product, you get back exactly what you paid for, right? So common sense says that if you paid nothing, you get nothing back. Dude did not like that. He starts raving and ranting, accusing me of calling him stupid and saying he's got no common sense. I didn't directly, but if the shoe fits. Stands there screaming at me about what a loser I am for working at GameStop and how I should know my place, assuring me he'll be calling corporate before storming out. Though I suspect he was just mad because he thought he was smart in gaming the system, but it didn't pan out. Now, normally I'm not quite this petty, but this guy was dumb enough to pick a fight with me while wearing his FedEx uniform, while his name tag on full display, and having his FedEx van parked right in the front of its ID number clearly visible. Damn, this dude's about to like dox this guy. He just went from, this guy is kind of a jerk, to, I know where you work and I know exactly what van you drove today. If you're not careful, I will release this information to Reddit and you will be destroyed. Like, that is the kind of vibe I'm like getting now. And I mean, sometimes if people want to push their limits, it is what it is. I'm never going to say do it. I will never tell people. Listen, this is me saying this right now. I do not condone doxing at all. Doxing is bad. This guy is just putting it on the line of, yeah, I could, but I won't. As soon as I got home, I emailed FedEx claiming that I was in a GameStop with my young child and that one of their employees was causing a scene and cursing out the poor cashier while representing them, scaring my child and making me rethink using FedEx for my small business shipping needs. Damn, that's actually kind of genius. I can't lie. What he just did is pretty funny. I made sure to provide his full name, the time and location, and the van ID number. They responded back surprisingly quick, saying that that was troubling to hear and that there would be an investigation. Lamau. You know, at first I was a little afraid. I was like, damn, bro, he might dox him. But that is like a way better move, just to like email their boss, like just flat out be like, yeah, your coworker was a piece of shit and you scared my child and they might be scarred forever from ever ordering a package from FedEx, and they're just like, we gotta get this guy out of here, dude. Honestly, well done move. But it's not done yet. Close to the end of the night, a grown-ass man comes in to buy an Xbox Live card. Sorry, I don't know why that makes me laugh. That just imagining a full-grown man coming in to buy an Xbox Live card. When I ring it up and tell him the total, he starts getting mad and accusing me of trying to rip him off because it was like $31 and some change instead of $29.99 on the sticker. I had to explain to this grown-ass man what a tax sales was, but he still didn't get it. He ultimately threw the card at me and stormed out. He got karma fast, though. Once I locked up, I started lowering the gate, and he comes walking back to the store entrance, telling me he locked his keys and phone in his car and needs to use our phone to call someone to help. I smile and let him know it's against my company policy to let someone in after I lock up. I might have helped him if he was nice, but his little tantrum sealed his fate. Jesus Christ, this man is like dooming all of these people. It goes from you're getting fired to you're sleeping out here tonight, buddy. You're not going home. Fuck you. Like, to be honest, when people are throwing things at you and being mad disrespectful, hey, they're on their own at that point. But I gotta say, like, this guy has dealt the double doom sickle on two Karens. But in the end, to just hit him with a final, like, yeah, figure it out yourself. Well done. He asks me what he's supposed to do, and I just kind of shrug. He starts to plead and moan about how it's a long walk and that there are signs and a lot about overnight towing. Once again, say I can't help you, and I shit you not. Right as he starts walking away, there's a rumble of thunder, and it starts to rain like in a cartoon. I could practically hear the sad Charlie Brown music as he skulked off home. Now, granted, FedEx guy was worse, but sales tax guy getting stuck walking home in the rain was so satisfying. It's always satisfying seeing karma hit bad people, you know, especially like really shitty customers. Because I can tell you, man, there's so many people that I could wish where it's just like, I don't wish for something horrible to happen to you, but I just hope that your day can just get ruined like how you ruined my day, you know? It just kind of hits you back of like, maybe don't disrespect people around you, and that way you can actually have a better ongoing of like life. And that's kind of how I look at this. It shows that if you're going to get mad over something so small, just know it could come around and hit you back. You'd be surprised. What do they call that? The butterfly effect? Dude, you know, I learned about the butterfly effect in Until Dawn. That shit was sick. I got to replay that game again. It's a really good game. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all the GameStop stories we have for you today. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I like to hope that you would be sure to like and subscribe to the video. And if you have your own stories that you want to tell that are maybe even a horror retail that involve GameStop, maybe even a job that you worked at where you dealt with the worst goddamn customer of your life, be sure to join our Discord and tell us about it. Because in some way, somehow, I'd love to tell it on here on the... I'd love to tell it right here on the channel. Sorry. I've been trying to straighten out my words this entire video. You have no idea how many times I've done that. I'll probably have to make a blooper video one day of that. But either way, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Deuces, y'all. God, I'm just scaring all these people from going to GameStop. No one's ever going back to GameStop now. I've ruined it.